What's up, everybody? Jack Farr here on behalf of Box to Box Football. Obviously, I'm here with James, and if anybody knows me even half well, they know that one of my favourite times of the year is when we get to start talking about, debating, and just kind of throwing a lot of you-know-what at the wall and just seeing what sticks when it comes to football transfers and creating a squad, buying players, selling players, and we're getting around to the January transfer window. Now, we've got a couple of topics to touch on here, and I guess we just wanted to kind of hash out, what we thought of these rumours, whether we thought they were true, if we do think they're true, what we make of the price, the fit, the player, all this kind of stuff, and then just to have a little bit of a play with maybe where a player should go or whether even if they should stay. So, James, I want to kind of throw one at you initially. A lot of very credible reporters have kind of come out of the woodwork and suggested that this one is all but a guarantee at this point. It seems a lot of money for the club in question. They usually don't like to spend too much money, but Rafinha of Leeds United, €50 million bid from Bayern Munich, which obviously, surprise, surprise, Leeds are going to accept for Rafinha to be a new Bayern Munich player. This will mean he's not cup-tied, obviously, in the Champions League, and he might be able to contribute right away in that European competition. James, thoughts on that? Rafinha, €50 million, Bayern.
So, as I thought the deal was already agreed, because 50 million, that's a lot of money for Rafinha. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to happen. But there's reports saying today that it was rejected and Leeds aren't interested. But I understand why, Jack.
Yeah.
Why would you want to lose your most important player when you're in a relegation battle, and the money you lose from being out of the Premier League will be a lot more than the money you gain from Rafinha? So I can understand it from that point of view. Rafinha is a player to me that needs to be at that level. We see the ability there, Jack. This guy has amazing ability.
Right.
And I look at Bayern Munich, the one thing that they drool over the most is talented wingers, fast, skillful wingers. That's what they built their dynasty of for the past 15 years, just off world-class, fantastic wingers. And it shocked me a little bit because I look at Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman, but I realized that Kingsley Coman turned down the deal and he might be on his way out. Rafinha, to me, is a player that I look at what he brings and I look at his potential and his age. It's a fantastic deal for Bayern, but I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think Leeds can find a better replacement. That's the biggest thing for me.
That's a huge part. I think he's probably worth about €50 million. I think that's about right, to be perfectly honest with you. I do agree with you that obviously you're selling your best player, and what that means. And do you back your recruitment team to bring somebody in of a similar quality for probably less money if that's the way Leeds are trying to operate, to then do a similar job? Is that player going to hit or are they going to flop? And then you have another mistake.
The big thing for me, Jack, if this was January, if this was in the summer,
you'd say go for it, right? Because there's more time, sure.
But just January time, especially Leeds, Jack, Leeds are struggling big time. I think it would be a really, really, really big blow for them to lose a player like Rafinha at this time. But
I tend to agree. With you. It'll be interesting to see if that is true, that there was the rejection. That see if Bayern go in with a bigger bid. That's usually not the way Bayern like to play. They have their price. They either accept or reject it, and then they move on. Speaking of moving on, Antonio Rudiger, Real Madrid. I mean, this is one of the prize centre backs in world football right now, and we know his contract's coming up, and that's one hell of a way to perform in a contract year. Best time to perform is when there's a new contract being negotiated for you. Supposedly, Antonio Rudiger to Real Madrid on a free transfer. Now, this would happen in January. In the summer. But you would imagine with Chelsea, there might be definitely some sort of conversation to be had that maybe he does join in January. I mean, James, first of all, do you see Antonio Rudiger signing a new Chelsea contract, or do you see him in, Los Blancos uniform either in January or in the summer?
If you're Chelsea, you should be a little bit worried because the core foundation of your Champions League winning team seems to be on their way out. Because Thiago Silva is getting old. I think he will sign a new deal for Chelsea. Yeah, that's good. Christensen, who's played a big part on it, he's also
just quickly with
1 year left on his deal.
With Thiago Silva, to be that age and to keep getting contract extensions with Chelsea Football Club, you are putting up some serious performances, because Chelsea, that's not something they usually do. So credit to him. But yeah, sorry, James.
Exactly, he's a top quality defender, but Rudiger, I think he's the one that Chelsea need to tie down the most. I just think the way he has performed in the last year or so, especially since Frank's departure has been absolutely outstanding. Like his ability has just stepped up big time. And then when I'm talking center backs and center back performances, Jack, he's top 3, top 5, not just in the Premier League, in the world, Jack.
Right.
That's the sort of level he's playing now. But this Real Madrid deal, I can see happening, Jack. I genuinely, because I look at Real Madrid. They had in the summer they end up losing Varane and Sergio Ramos. Militao has been great for them at this moment in time. Alaba's been absolutely brilliant too. But they need another centre back. To me, it's a thing. What happens if one of them guys get injured at the same time? Now Alaba, who isn't a recognised centre back, really good to me. Why would you turn down a chance to play for the biggest team in the world, like Real Madrid? They are the one team that every player's head will just instantly kind of turn. If Real Madrid, you've seen it with Eden Hazard. If you're a Chelsea fan, I think this deal will happen. And plus, players get more money when they obviously sign on a free. So
I agree.
I think Rudiger makes more financial sense for him too.
I agree. And James, look, I think another thing that I think plays a huge part as well, he's going to be 29 in March, right? Now, this is a player who's played at Stuttgart, he's played at Roma, and he's played at Chelsea. Now, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Stuttgart, Roma, or to Chelsea, but if you ask any little boy around the world who the biggest 3 football teams that everyone dreams to play for, in those lists are not Chelsea, are not Roma, and are not Stuttgart. I'm just trying to be honest, right? However, of course, Roma as well might even sneak in top 10, but yeah, maybe 10th or 11th. But Real Madrid are almost certainly a top 3 in nearly every young aspiring football player's list of dream clubs to be playing for. When you're 29 years old, how many more moves do you think you have where a team of that caliber are going to want you? How many more do you think, is that going to happen? Do we think that he's going to play for Real Madrid for 2 years and then Bayern are going to come calling and pay a bunch of money for him? Do we think that, Barcelona, and there'll be a huge transfer from Real Madrid? But it's not going to happen. He needs to either put his foot down and say, I'm going to try and become a Chelsea legend, win a Premier League title, more Champions League at Chelsea, or I'm going to fulfill a dream and play for Real Madrid. To me, at his age, I think it only makes sense for him to go to Real Madrid. I tend to agree with you that. I think it will be the summer. I don't think it will be January, but we will see. So kind of a silly one. I probably shouldn't really be including this, but James is an Arsenal fan. I'm a Roma fan. And when there's any sort of transfer activity, we talked a little bit about Xhaka to Roma last summer. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, supposedly there's a little bit of weight to this, James. It would be a loan with an option to buy, supposedly, for Ainsley Maitland-Niles to go to Roma. First of all, from an Arsenal perspective, what are your thoughts on that kind of a deal? I mean, are you kind of gutted you're losing a player like Maitland-Niles, or is it the right time?
I don't mind. I want Ainsley to play more football, to be fair, and for him to get a move to Roma is, to me, fantastic for him. I think this is a better move from Ainsley than anyone else. Roma, they get a good player. Obviously, Arsenal, they get to see their player play more. If he can somehow find a starting place in his Roma team, his stock rises tenfold. So I think it's a great move for Ainsley overall. I think it'll be a bit difficult over there. Like, it's, to me, Italian football. You know how hard you can get, especially when you're not nailed down for a position. Because he probably wants to play centre mid. I don't think he's going to get in the centre at Roma. Maybe out right back. I don't know, Jack. What do you think?
So this is the thing, purely from the Roma perspective. When Spinazzola is back and fully firing, we know he starts at left back. There is no contest there. Right back, Rick Karsdorp's playing some of the best football that we've seen him play. Calafiori, I know there's huge hopes for him as well. Even somebody like Marash Kumbula can fit in there as well at right back, or even at left back, potentially in kind of emergency situations. And Brian Reynolds, the American teenager, he can kind of fill in at fullback too. To me, I don't mind it from a standpoint of if it's a Jose Mourinho kind of guy and he can play multiple positions and it's just till the end of the season, I'm okay with it. If the value's there, maybe he can be a good squad player. But if the aim here from Roma is that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is going to be a starter, I'm not a very happy Roma fan. Let's put it that way. And I'm not trying to disrespect Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I think he's a good player. But I think that if you're trying to make top 4 in Serie A, you're trying to, in the future, you're trying to win the thing. Ainsley Maitland-Niles will not be a starting player for a Roma team that wins the Scudetto. So James, another one, I want to open the conversation up a little bit more. Ferran Torres to Barcelona, supposedly done now, basically. All that's left is the formalities of the medicals and whatnot. did this come out of nowhere? I thought I thought Barcelona were broke. I mean, what this is seems to be a lot of money. Has Ferran Torres' performances at City deserved this kind of movement from initially coming to Man City to now be playing for Barcelona? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
This is a weird transfer. I think a weird transfer from a weird club like Barcelona.
Right?
Like we're told that they don't have money, and then they're going to spend all this money on like Ferran Torres. Now, don't get it twisted. Like Ferran Torres is one of the most underrated players in the world to me. I feel like especially what he did at the start of the season for Man City. It's weird how he transitioned to not even playing at all for Man City. It's a good move for Barcelona, but Jack, for 55 million euros, I think Barcelona. I really don't know what Barcelona are doing here.
Neither
I think
do I.
he's going to be a good player, Jack. Like don't get it twisted, but the money that they bought him for, this isn't a guy who started for Man City week in and week out destroying. Like
See,
at the start of
James,
the season, he was great.
but this is what I'm saying. The
Like, it
initial,
makes no sense. But if you're Man City, Jack, you made a profit on this player. I think you made like
but do you not?
20, 30.
Does that not just stink a bit to you? Does that not have Fabio Paratici, Juventus, Arthur Melo, Miralem Pjanic type vibes to it? Because James, remember, Ferran Torres arrived at Man City for supposedly 23 million euros, right? That was the reported fee. This is like over double. And this is a guy who scored, was it 9 professional goals for Man City? Like, I'm just saying, like, this doesn't smell right to me. I don't know what they're seeing. And James, is this clearly an Aguero replacement? Because I don't think it's a like for like.
I think Ferran Torres is a kind of this false nine role. I think Barcelona are looking for that sort of Aguero vibe to him. He isn't an Aguero from the point of view as a out and out number 9. I think Ferran Torres is more flexible than Aguero, but he's not a goal scorer like Aguero is. I like the move for Barcelona, Jack. I just don't like the fee for it. I think the fee,
Right.
it smells fishy. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't know where this came from.
And
Really
for a team already involved in a scandal with that Pjanic and Arta swap, right? I think it's a bad time to be messing around. Like, James, he's 21, right? He has upside. I think he's talented. I don't think he's worth the money they're spending, but I think there's upside there to be had. If Xavi likes him, I think that's a really great base to build from as well. But it's icky to me. I don't like it.
It's like your friend, you like go out for dinner and like he's always the broke one, but you just see him walk around with Gucci flip-flops out of nowhere.
Right.
It's like, it makes no sense.
He only carries cash. He hasn't got a card. It's only cash.
I'm like, yo, like Barcelona don't have money. 55 million on Ferran Torres. It makes no sense, but like, it's Barcelona.
They need to sell to, you know, they need to sell to have this money. To me, it just doesn't seem right. Anyway, we will let our own conjecture and anybody watching fill in the gaps on that one, and maybe we'll be proven right in 3 years when it gets investigated and somebody is in prison. To finish off, this is something that very rarely actually happens in football, and I think that when it does, it's really worth talking about. And James, Anthony Martial's agent came out, didn't pull any punches, has spoken with Ralf Rangnick. Ralf Rangnick has spoken publicly about this as well. This isn't just ignore the agent type thing. This is something that's being respected. Anthony Martial wishes to leave Old Trafford, to leave Manchester United. Ralf Rangnick and Manchester United stance is we only want players who want to be here. So Anthony Martial available in the January transfer window. First of all, we're not talking about the guy who kind of broke out onto the scene with that goal against Liverpool and then scored a few goals afterwards. You know, Anthony Martial's stock over his Manchester United career is relatively low. Is he going to have many suitors? And also at this point of his career, what's his level? What is his level?
I think Martial's level is to the top. This is just my opinion. I've always been a big fan of Anthony Martial. Me being an Arsenal fan, I would like to see him in an Arsenal shirt, especially under a manager like Arsene Wenger. I feel like that would have been like a match made in heaven.
Right.
But I look at the way
Thierry Henry,
Martial's career has gone. Yeah, you know, it makes sense. I look at the way how Martial's career has gone in Manchester United. It's hot and cold, hot and cold. You've seen what he was like with Oli, especially like at the start, scoring hat-tricks, big goals, all that. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. But to say that the guy doesn't have the ability, he doesn't have the talent to be at that level, I'm not having that. He is, to me, an outstanding football player. But the one thing I'm going to say, talent can only take you so far.
Right.
You need to somehow find the consistency. generally. Like I look at Anthony Martial, he's gonna look back at his career and be like, man, I really waste myself. And I hate when I have to see players like that. I look at him right now and maybe a move to I think the best place for him that might work out, depending on what his head is like, is Atletico Madrid. But I doubt Manchester
Interesting.
United would let that happen. The fact that they're gonna have him in the last 16. I was seeing Seville, maybe that's not bad. I was hearing about Marseille, Newcastle. I think one of them sort of teams there could work, but I think Atletico Madrid would be a really good move for him.
I think it's out of a lot of Liga teams' budget. I'd love to see him at a team like Lyon. I think that would be really, really cool. If he could take up a Memphis Depay type role at Lyon, I think that would be really, really cool. Be that kind of central figure point. I do get the sense he'll probably stay in the Premier League. I really do. And as much as I understand the Sevilla, Atletico Madrid thing, because I think they could pay the money and maybe Manchester United might have some interest in some Atletico Madrid or Sevilla players, maybe that would come the other way. They could work something out there. I don't know if his personality fits within a team that plays that kind of football, which is never going to blow teams out. It's always going to be close. He's going to be expected to work very hard. I think we've seen with somebody like João Felix as well, like that's not been a great fit. As talented as he is, we've not seen that progression. And I just think he's a weird character. It's not a criticism of him. I think it takes all types to make up a world. He's just got that funny kind of personality. I do look at potentially a Premier League move, maybe to a London team, maybe an Arsenal will become available, maybe a Spurs will come available. Who knows? I don't know if Martial's going to want to play on West Ham. I don't know if Anthony Martial is going to want to play under Antonio Conte, but it's another option there because Manchester United will want to make some sort of money back on the player too, and that rules out a lot of candidates. James, I'll throw a team at you. Newcastle United. If you're trying to make a statement, do you get Lingard and Martial, and is that the new attacking force with St. Maximin?
But Jack, if I was Anthony Martial, it wouldn't be a thing where you want to leave Manchester United. Ask for a loan, 6 months in Newcastle. You've seen what that did for a player like Jesse Lingard,
right?
And Jesse Lingard comes back, and I guarantee you, he's going to be out on a free. How many teams are going to be running for his signature,
especially in England, right?
Exactly. So to me, I look at Martial right now. Maybe in Newcastle and just changes everything for him because, Jack, we know the ability he has. It's just, can he find it consistently?
I'm just going to put this out there too as well. There's absolutely no basis for this whatsoever. But with Henrik Mkhitaryan still performing okay at Roma, I'm telling you that I would love a front three, Tammy Abraham, Nicolo Zaniolo, and then just on the left there, Anthony Martial. That might be
that would be, I think that would be an amazing move.
That would be sick. With Spinazzola on that left-hand side too.
That might be the perfect move for him. But I don't know what his Mourinho. It's a Jose fact. I don't know.
But speaking of good developmental teams like James, Borussia Dortmund. I mean, if you're Martial, you're gagging for that, especially with Haaland on the way out. Anyway, guys, we could sit here for hours and talk about this stuff. And there's also a lot more rumors which we've not included. Let us know: Rafinha, Rudiger, Maitland-Niles, Ferran Torres, Anthony Martial. Where are these guys going to go? How much are they going to cost? Should they go there? Should they stay? Should they go? And until next time, January transfer window right around the corner. We'll get you back soon. We'll see you.